Hey everyone, with the YouTube Studio Classic on its way out, and with, I'm Jimmy Saroka, so hello, I do live stream. With YouTube Studio Classic on its way out, I will not have access to deeper insights on the analytics, so I have my opinions on that, but that's okay. I'm going to cut it off at a week. So I know I'm doing a whole lot of live stream. What I will probably do is only live stream until, for 2 more days. I will be doing like a whole lot of live streams for 2 more days. And then I will begin just doing specific content. And I will probably roll out on at least one platform that is not yet monetized. That platform will probably be Patreon for the blog. Not 100% sure yet, but more than likely. Because as much as I would like to take a full month to, a good read, the fact is that with YouTube Classic going away, I don't really know what things are going to look like. And so I'd rather get those analytics now. I still have it available. I can get those numbers now and give you guys better content. I said I wasn't going to give you guys like a post time. I wasn't going to give you, a heads up about when I'm live and whatnot, but I probably will build out some sort of structured schedule. I want to share it with you. I want to be able to be free to share it with you, and so I probably will. That's going to up the ante, and it's going to make it much more difficult for me, but I like a challenge, and we'll see in the long run if I can keep that up or not, and if I can, then I will. Anyway, what is next on the agenda is home is where the heart is. Now, if you're watching this broadcast on the replay, there's nobody live right now. So if you're watching on the replay, leave down in the comments, where your home is. Like, what is home to you? When I say home is where the heart is, it's so true. And I think I used to say that in day one, when I started broadcasting, is home is where the heart is. And a lot of people don't necessarily identify with that statement. They think, well, it must be a place, or I have to have a roof over my head, or food in my belly. Home is in the heart. If you want to survive in life, it's not about some survivalist mindset. It's about love, but like the love in your heart, not necessarily always an exchange, but just something within yourself that you say, I love me, I like who I am, and I can be in a car, I'm not homeless. I could be on the street and I'm not homeless. And that's a conversation that was had in the beginning of everything when I first started, and no one wanted to hear it, is that you don't have to have a domicile to have a home. Nobody wanted to hear that in the past, and they sure as hell wouldn't want to hear it now. But there are people on the street that they have a home, where there are people who have a roof over their head who are absolutely homeless. And so I want to venture to say, I'm going to reach out to say that the word homeless is a very hurtful word. And so I will not use it. I'm going to do my best not to use it, but I will make that statement, is that there are a lot of people who say that someone without a roof over their head is homeless. That is not always necessarily true. And it is very rude to blanket statement people and say that because someone chooses, if they choose a certain way of life, that makes them homeless. And it doesn't. And that is one of the biggest arguments being had today about people who are displaced. That is not homelessness if home is in their heart. All right? They are locationally displaced, just like someone might be displaced with their citizenship. It is displacement. It is not the same as being homeless. And calling someone homeless can be very hurtful. Very, very hurtful. There are plenty of people with roofs over their head, as I have now, that don't feel at home. I don't feel at home where I am. I have a home in my heart, but realistically, I still feel displaced. Even if I make an income, I will still feel displaced. And that displacement is something I'm going to have to work on, and I'm going to seek help with. So being locationally displaced is an unfortunate event. I think it's happening to a lot of people. But calling someone homeless simply because they don't have a roof over their head, It can be very damaging to someone's psyche. It can be very hurtful. I remember when I was locationally displaced living in my car, I said, no, I'm not homeless, I'm not homeless, I'm not homeless. And it was just shoved down my throat so much as an attack that you are homeless, you are homeless, you are homeless. And it made me believe until now that I was homeless, because homeless to me means that I do not have a home in my heart. To me means that I have nowhere, even in myself. And that is totally untrue. And so I just want to let everyone know, even if you say you did not abuse me, everyone up until now that has called me homeless, that was extremely abusive to my psyche and to my life. I'm letting you know that I forgive you, because more than likely you didn't realize how wrong you were and how much damage you caused. So I forgive you. But moving forward, it's very important that we set the precedence so people understand that locationally displaced is not necessarily meaning that person is homeless. If someone has a domicile and they're operating well, and then they end up on the street, that does not make them homeless. If they have home in their heart, they have a home. And helping someone maintain that psyche, even when they're on the street, is a very important step towards rehabilitation back from being locationally displaced. When you call them homeless, when you call someone homeless, it's very damaging. It makes it very, very difficult to get back on your feet. And so I was not homeless. I am not homeless. I have a home in my heart. I am currently locationally displaced. I have always been locationally displaced, even through my childhood. I am not homeless. I was not homeless. I may be financially insecure. I am not poor. Calling someone poor is also extremely insensitive. These are words that I use. I may have used them a day ago. I may have used them 3 days ago. I'm working on getting better, but I am finally coming to see just how damaging a lot of these words have been towards people. And basically because how damaging they've been towards me, calling me poor. That is a general statement. Maybe be more specific. Either don't say it at all or be more specific. You are financially poor. You are financially displaced. Whatever verbiage is appropriate. But to just look at someone and call them poor. There are so many versions of poor that exists. And if you are not specific about that and choose to say it, it can cause a lot of damage to someone's psyche, because they may identify as spiritually wealthy, as I do. I see myself as extremely abundant inside myself. And I seek to exuberate that on the outside. With so many people looking at me and saying, you are poor, simply because I do not have money. It is very hurtful to me as a person. It manipulates me into believing a lie that I am poor as a person. And in the long run, ultimately, it has destroyed my psyche. Please recognize, even if it's difficult to accept, please recognize that your words have been very insensitive and inaccurate, and due to the lack of accuracy of your words and my ability to process the inaccuracy of your words, you had dominion over my life and power over my life, and you hurt me severely, even if you didn't mean to. You assumed that I was more intelligent at the time than I was. Even if I had the intellect inside of me, it had never been activated. And so, I was, for lack of a better term, oblivious. And even though there may have been some ways that I could recognize what may have been going on, the mixture of that environment was too much to handle. My psyche was disappreciated and disrespected, and I was called poor and homeless and a beggar and a scammer and a pedophile and many other things, all of which were completely untrue. especially those last few. And when those things are shoved down your throat, and someone makes a change.org petition against you with complete lies inside of it, and I mean blatantly untrue, and no one is willing to defend you, what would you do? What would you do? What did I do? Remain humble. I freaked out a whole lot, yeah. But I was humble enough to fight my own fight as best as I could, without having to turn to the law, without having to turn to my family. I tried, and I was ignored at every turn by the law, by my family, by the healthcare system. And so I've learned to rely on myself. And I do so a bit begrudgingly, but I'm finally realizing just how abundant I am as a human being, regardless of the false anything that's been put on me. I know my value, I know my worth, I now focus on who I am, and no one will ever again put a stamp on me and make it true. Whether that is the law, whether that is my family, or the internet. I am me, and from here on in, you will all get to know me. And I would like to get to know you as well. Because the easiest way for you to get to know me is by me getting to know you. I've been preaching that since day one, and people just called me a fraud for it. It's still my MO. It's the only MO I have, is to connect and communicate. And yes, I will get paid for it. Boo-hoo. It's called having a job. I don't do it for the pay. That's why it's a passion. What I do here on live stream, I do in real life as well, when it comes to making an effort to communicate with people. So, I am Jimmy Saroka, and I would like to get to know you. Let's try this again. I'm from Pennsylvania in the United States. I like to eat an organic diet. I said I like to. I really like avocados. I love to travel. I have seen about 36 states, but that number is pulled straight out of my butt because I have been all over America and I don't remember where I have and haven't been. Google could probably tell me if I look at my location history. So there's a few facts about me. What are a few facts about you? Welcome on East Coast Spotlight. How are you? Shelby says, are you working out today? Yes, I worked out this morning. It's recorded up on YouTube here. It's a nice little spectacle to laugh at the moment. It's not all impressive yet. It'll get there. East Coast Spotlight says, I'm eating chicken ramen noodles with you. Sweet. We wanted to get some chicken ramen, but I thought that they had the cups, and they didn't. And then they did have chicken, I think. Or didn't they at all? Didn't? No, they did, because you wanted the chicken. I said, no, let's get the cups. And then it didn't end up being cups. Remember? So, yeah, Katie wanted chicken ramen. I said, well, we don't have a way to make it. We had to find a way to make it anyway. Just a part of a healthy, balanced, organic diet. I'll tell you, though, it's not a bad being financially displaced is not a bad excuse to be able to eat ramen. What flavor are you nomming on? This is beef. Beef. Tastes more like noodles to me. I'm very grateful. Very grateful we have food. So what about you? What about you? Tell me about you. I've been fighting 10 years. 10 years? Where the heck did 10 years come from? Because there's 10 people in a broadcast. I've been fighting 5 years to get to know people. And from day one, I was misunderstood and written off. Still getting it. I remember when I first started traveling and volunteer with nonprofits, I would go there and say, well, I'm going to help out. I want to make a YouTube video. And they would look at me with the weirdest looks and be like, well, what are you doing here? What's your agenda? They're like, make a video and help out. It's not that complicated. No, it wasn't just about me. But I got a lot of weird looks. Still get them. It's still who I am. That's one way I have not changed, is my integrity and authenticity. But, I forgive and I move on. I don't even know who you're talking about. Anybody from my past is in my past, and I don't acknowledge, I don't engage, I'm not interested. Totally disinterested. On a positive note, since no one seems to want to talk about themselves, I would like to talk about Katie. A little bit. So, we did a podcast today that will be released tonight at 8 o'clock. East Coast Spotlight. I think you should be very careful with your words because assumptions can be killer. Those words didn't come out of my mouth. And you should be happy that you have a voice in my broadcast. You should use it wisely. It's my recommendation. Trying to gaslight me into a hole is a very abusive and toxic behavior. And as internet censorship sets in, you probably won't be able to get away with that behavior for much longer. It would be my recommendation to be more careful about what you say. Just my thoughts. It would suck to lose a Google account, of all things. So, Caitlin did a podcast. And that's not a threat by me. I just see how things go. I don't have to lift a finger. I couldn't if I wanted to. I don't have that kind of power. But we did a podcast today, and it was very nice. And Katie started telling a story that she had thought up, didn't even write it down. The girl just pulls it right out of her head. And Caitlin will be telling a story tomorrow. And then hopefully she'll be pumping them out. She'll be creating some content. She wasn't going to do the podcast, but after hearing her talk, I got swooned. And I was like, this is awesome. I want to hear more of this. So we're very excited for that. Excuse me. Now, the podcast is monetized, so you listening to that podcast, you'll get to hear Caitlin, and also you'll be contributing to us financially, just by listening. Just like you're contributing financially just by being here with us in the broadcast. So thank you. I got blush water. Sarah Evans, I could sit here and I could pick apart your psychological manipulation for other people, but you know what? I'm just going to let you know that your behavior is extremely destructive and psychopathic, and you're destroying lives with your words. So I recommend being more responsible with your words, because it's only hurting people. You're not helping anyone. You're not helping yourself. You're not helping me. You're not helping other people. It's very destructive behavior. I'm not denying the comment you put there. I'm just saying that you most definitely did not clarify all of your intentions behind that comment. And just because you were clever doesn't make you smart. If you genuinely care about people, please be more responsible and say things. Think them through before you comment. Don't just get angry and throw your comment on the screen, because you may be smart, but you're sacrificing your intelligence for being clever, which really just it becomes hurtful, because you're not thinking about how what you're doing may hurt others. I am. It's called reproofing, and I'm willing to do it when someone comes at me with lies. I'm not willing to hide behind a limited liability company. I don't want limited liability. I want to be liable for my actions. That's what an adult does. An adult doesn't need a company to stand behind. A responsible human being doesn't need to be limit their liability for their actions. It might be a popular thing to do, but I'm not going to hide behind a company. I'm me. You got problems? Meet me outside. Get on my live stream. Sue me. I am not going to stand behind a company to protect my assets when I made a bad choice. I said when I made a bad choice. I'm right here. You're not anybody that wants to prove themselves smart against me. You're not smart. You just got a lot of pride. These crutches that are set in place in society, they go both ways. I used to think, because I was raised by right-wing people, that the right was right and that the left was wrong. Here's what I learned. Nobody's wrong. Nobody's wrong. Everybody's right a little bit. They have their own crutches. They have their own things that they need to get by and get forward, right? There is stimulus. There's an accelerator. An LLC would be like an acceleration, a system of acceleration where you can get where you want to get faster, and you're more protected by the system itself. It enables people. It enables people. And just on the opposite end is for things like, healthcare and whatnot, is an opportunity for people to be enabled. If we need a system of healthcare, then that means that we cannot take care of ourselves. Our country is in a lot of debt. I'm scared to see what's going to happen. What I know is I've officially realized I am just a very, very, very small fish in the ocean. And while I was so caught up in everybody else, I didn't realize how small I was. Guess what? Here's the news flash nobody wants. We're all the same size. You guys just have accelerants. We are all the same size. Oops. Good luck. I know my size. Do you? I'm small, and I'm grateful for my opportunity to humbly serve society. I'm learning how to do it more well. but I'm not going to stand behind a company, and I'm not going to be enabled by a healthcare system or by welfare. And that is me saying that I would be enabled. I'm not saying that someone else who needs it would be enabled. This is my point. I am not on the left. I am not on the right. I take responsibility, full liability and responsibility for my actions. The reason I know I'm wise for that choice is because I see the arrogance and the pride, the drugs within the human brain, that is essentially affecting the way that they think and act in society. And these LLCs, these masks, these different things in business, they don't belong on my lips. Because really, I'm talking like an anarchist. And I'm not one. I'm not. So why am I talking about it? My biggest struggle right now, and it is a struggle for me, is that I see how things are on like a really, really big scale that I know most people do not see. I would just like to sit back and be grateful for what I have. And I'm trying to figure out how to do that and make money without having to be fake or expose lies or expose the intricacies of society, because all I'm doing is unraveling things. I'm not really helping anything. And I don't mean to hurt anybody, and I'm sorry for stouting my pride once again, because that's all I really did, stouting my pride. I want to do better, so I'm sorry for this behavior right here. That was not good. But what's next? I don't know. As I sit here, it is the most intriguing thing, though, to realize that even if I become successful, there are a lot of people out there, especially people that I grew up with, that will always see me as some troubled soul or as some intellect that simply lost his way or got lost in his own intellect. And I pity those people. I really do. Because it's so sad to live a life where I haven't accomplished anything. And to have, to turn around and know that there's going to be people who say, whatever excuses they have to make as to why I got where I got to. Whether it's anything from cheated the system all the way down to selling my soul. Because I'm pretty sure that the religious people I grew up with, that's probably like they got nothing else. They got nothing else to say how I got where I'm at. So it's probably going to come down to something insane that they believe, because they could not fathom that I'm right. So I just got to let that go, move on. So realize I am moving on. It's going to be a daily process because it's happening very quickly. Like, think about it like if your dog died yesterday and then you're crying the next day and somebody says, bro, like essentially in my mind, everyone from my past has died. And I mean like died. I'm realizing they're already dead and they don't know it yet. I do. I see it plain as day. So for me, it's really, really hard. These are people that I love and that I care about. And I just have to blatantly disacknowledge them and move on with my life so that I survive. And that is very, 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 very hard. But I can do it. And I'm making an effort to do it quickly. But if you guys are not patient with me while I do it, it's going to cause trauma. And I'm working really hard not to be traumatized by people on the internet who misunderstand me. They're living lives of quiet desperation. And I'm ready to move on and make a success of myself. And that is what I'm doing right now. Hard to believe. It's just happening very, very slowly. Maybe 1 penny per hour. where while I rebuild my mind, I rebuild my life, I restructure my social environment. Slow and steady wins the race, my friends. And I am officially slow and steady. So, Caitlin Suzuki,
Yes.
will you do me a favor? Will you get me the list of questions? How you come up with more? Oh, you walking on my back was nice. That was good. Was that the last of our ramen?
I think that's like one.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, if there's anyone willing to help with food again, we had someone help with 1 week of food, and I am suspicious as to whether or not the support will continue. I think it may have been partially a farce, maybe trying to get me upset or getting me to react or what have you. They said just more unintelligent people who continue to think they're smarter than me. Thank God people don't know me. I know that sounds weird. Animal lover, welcome on. But honestly, if people did know me, I'd be screwed because they would know how to take advantage of me. And as I change, their old techniques aren't working anymore, and they're like, oh crap, what do we do? And as I move forward with my life, it's so funny because people will say, hey, you're crying wolf. You said these things before. Yeah, but I didn't know that my own family was crazy. Like, I thought that was I guess I never realized that was like my backdoor option. That was like, if all else fails, I have my family. And I never really thought about it that way, but I didn't realize that subconsciously I was thinking that. And when I found out that they're not all that great, I was like, oh, all right, there's no options here for me but for me to have my own life. So my home is jail to me. Now, do you mean like your physical house? Because that was part of the conversation, is that home is in your heart. I feel like I'm in jail right here too, but I'm very, very grateful because this jail is provided to me, and having this jail is better than being out on the street right now. So I'm grateful for this prison because it's nothing like real prison, at least from what I hear. But I can imagine, I know what it's like to be trapped with people you don't want to be around. I know what it's like to be trapped and in hell, where being in jail and having to fight for your life may actually seem like a better option. And it's going to be impossible for people to believe me on this because I've never been there. But for some people, it probably is. I'm not one of those people. I've underutilized my resources. But what do you mean by your home is jail to you, unless you don't want to talk about it? Then you could just say, I don't want to talk about it. And that's perfectly okay. Katie, can I have the other half of the avocado?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thanks. Jim Jones, can you do me a favor and stop harassing me? It's extremely hurtful. And while you say I do nothing, you're part of the reason it's so hard to do anything. You just constantly harass me and attack my feelings, which makes me shut down worse. And then it becomes more difficult to actually do something. So while you judge me, you're part of the reason you have the ability to judge me. So isn't that quite the racket? I'd also have a lot more support if people like you stopped attacking me. It goes both ways. So you bandwagon with them, your comments are part of the reason why that popularity bias moves in a false direction. If you truly want to see things get better, I'm only half the equation. public opinion is the other half. It's very difficult to overcome. I'm getting there, though. Jim Jones, thank you for saying that. Instead of proving everyone wrong. It's my point. The reason I'm me, and the reason I'm going to be successful, and the reason I am currently successful in my own way, is because I don't spend my time trying to prove people wrong. Think about that. No matter what people say about me or have to say to me, I'm doing me. That's success. Look at how many people give me crap. I'm still doing me. No matter how much pressure they try to apply to my life, I still do me. This is what I want to do right now with the resources I have available. If I had more, I'd want to do more. But for now, there's a lot to sort through. And as much as it might look like I'm the one taking time, there's a lot of other people that need time to process how much I've changed. Because they don't have the mental ability. They don't have the ability to process how much I've changed. And it's not because they're stupid. It's because they only see the content that I put out. And so I have to sit here and show them on a mental level. And people who struggle with that, who struggle with social perception and whatnot, are going to be the last people to see that I've changed. You bring up haters daily, just stop the blame game. It ain't a game, dude, it's my life. First off, which is also hurtful. You can disagree all you want, but it's my life, it's not yours. When you go on screen and you live it, then you come to me and let me know how it is, but you don't. You know what I'm saying? So, or at least I'm assuming you don't. I appreciate the workout. Liking the workout. I'm not trying to prove anybody wrong. I'm trying to let people know that I am right. I've been right the whole time. As in, 5 years, I've been right. Made a hell of a lot of mistakes, but I'm not a criminal. I know I'm not. Just gonna have to work to convince everybody else. Or at least a whole lot of people who are confused and angry. Can I join Feed Piece? I don't know what that is. What's Feed Piece? I don't own the trademark on that. I don't know what it is. You can educate me, though. I got somebody who comes to my broadcast and harasses me every day and uses the name Feed Piece. So whatever it is, it sounds like a cult. I don't think I'm interested in it. So I wouldn't come to me and ask him about Feed Piece. If you're right, stop blaming others. It's unappealing. Thank you, Jim Jones. At this point, I don't have to blame others. The blame is on them for the most part. But I think the reason I'm repeating it is I'm just so angry, right? I'm just so mad. It's not an excuse. I agree. My anger is dissipating more day over day. And as much as I understand you're looking for that quick fix, you're looking for me to just, boom, be better. It takes time. When people just let it go and pretend like they're moving on, it's not really moving on. If you haven't given yourself the proper time to process the emotions, you really won't move on all that well. That's just basic psychology, and most generations up until ours has not really had that. I'm taking the proper time for myself to heal. And it might seem crazy, like, well, you don't have time to do that. Well, if I don't have time to do it now, I'm not going to have time to do it later. So I'm doing it now. Because I'd rather do it now and die than never do it. Because I know if I don't do it now, I won't do it. Jim Jones goes, maybe rewatch Frozen. Jim Jones, I have a very tight grip. All right? You're not getting it. You're just not getting it. I'm trying to explain it to you. I'm telling the truth. It's my truth. It's my life. It's where I'm at. I'm scared to let go. I'm getting there. You know, prying my fingers off. People are trying to pry my fingers. Jimmy, let it go and move on. I'm working on it. Taking control of your life will help release your pain. Jim Jones, me being here, is part of how I take control of my life. Learning to complain less and conversate with people more. Jim Jones and other people, piece that I know you are missing because you missed it even back then. I remember you. Is I'm talking to people, and that is part of the content. Me having conversations with people is part of the job. It is part of the job. It is not the job, but it's part of the job. People would see my content on YouTube or on Periscope. They'd see one piece of it. And then I would share the travels on Instagram or somewhere else. And then people will come on live and say, well, you don't do anything. I'm like, have you opened my links? Go look somewhere else. I can't take you on live stream at the Grand Canyon with a stable stream. It doesn't work. There's certain places it just doesn't work. Most national parks can't get the connection. It's very difficult. And I would sit and talk with people. Periscope is a forum for me. It wasn't necessarily a place to share content. What I've learned is that just piss people off. So I'll find a way to do it. And what I'm realizing is, and I didn't mean to do this, was that I was totally misusing live stream. I would come live with a whole bunch of people and just talk to one or two people. And it never registered for me how disacknowledged that probably left all the rest of the people. Or at least the people who had those insecurities. Never registered for me. I have been there, Google my name. Okay, I used others too. That's not funny. That's really not funny. You really biffed that one. I was insensitive because it didn't register for me. Like, I didn't care. Meaning, like, if it was me, I wouldn't have thought twice. I had never experienced people that had that level of damage. And now I am one of those people that has that level of damage. And I thank God that I have become one of those people that has that level of damage. Because I never would have known what they felt. I never would be able to relate to them. It would be impossible for me to help them. And now I can. And guess what? The way I'm going to help them is by simply being tender. Learning to be more tender. The hardest part is being tender with people who are not tender with me. Please realize they abused me before I fought back. It is a defense, and it appears as though it's an attack. Because the pattern that has persisted for years, and Jim Jones, shut your mouth because I need to work through this. They would come at me blatantly. And when I eventually returned fire, they acted like they had a broken wing and that I was so abusive. I have learned my lesson. There are people with mental illness who literally use their mental illness just to make money and act like a victim. And then they turned around and said that was me when I legitimately had one at the time. It was the most sick, effed up thing I've experienced in my life, and I was not able to admit to myself that they did that because I was thinking, like, there's no way, like, they're faking their illness. Maybe they're faking their illness then. Not only did they legitimately have illness, but they also played possum and tried to screw me. And when I finally met my sister, my biological sister, it registered and it sunk in. Because that's what she does. She's absolute psychopath. Absolute freak. Someone I will never again engage with. I have never been more scared in my life of another human being That is not paranoia. I no longer suffer from paranoia, not nearly as much as I used to. Now, whether or not my mother's involved, the likelihood is pretty slim. More than likely, she is just an enabled woman who is looking for her answer. And since my sister's right there and they've been living together forever, and my sister has her absolutely brainwashed, then yeah, I can't step into that, which is why I stepped out. I am trying to move on, guys. I just have a lot to process that I have not processed yet. I haven't processed it. Like, it's been a day. Literally, like, we were there, and then we were homeless for a couple of days until now. I haven't even processed it, and I have to do my job. This is not my job. I'm not going to sit here and talk about my past forever. But you're going to sit here and listen to it while I make pennies, because that's the best I can do right now. And Kate's not coming on screen. I'm not subjecting her to this. I'd rather subject you to my crap and have to listen to my past while I work through it. And I just have to put up with your BS. Saying that I'm just complaining. Complaining. It literally just happened. God damn it. Give me a second. You don't give me seconds. They're my seconds. And I'm not wasting them. I'm getting better. And sometimes, because of the damage that's been caused, it will be at the cost of others, of their name. Well, guess what? Their name is already crap. I'm not making it any worse. I'm just accidentally exposing the truth while I heal. And I am not going to have to pay for that. I'm not. Mark my words. There might be repercussions. But whatever those repercussions are, they're worth the healing, and it's worth the pay. And in 2 days, it will be a full week. And then I will have a live stream schedule, and I will not have to put up with their crap. And thanks to people like this, I may have to come live with a script or with bullet points. No joke. You will never see me again, more than likely. And that sucks. That is not something I'm on board with. Just know that's your fault, not mine. Because I gave you the world. I put myself in front of you, and most of you abused me. The majority abused me. And so now, for the sake of my psychological health, I am forced to conceal myself. I'm an honest guy, but I no longer can be transparent with you because I can't do it without losing my health. And so now, as everyone has accused me of acting and being fake, I've been completely transparent and legitimate. And now I will begin to act on some level. And you do not have the ability to know on which level that is. And so you're going to sit there paranoid for the rest of your life about me. When all you had to do was just say, oh wow, he's honest. That's all you had to do. So do yourself a favor, the same favor Kate's doing for herself. Don't lie to yourself. You frickin' hurt me. That's what Caitlin said. Caitlin said this to me. How'd you say it, Kate? Do me a favor. Bless them with your voice. How'd you say it? When you said to me, when you realize what you did to me, then they realize, how is that half of it?
Oh, you mean...
And by the way, guys, off screen, I'm owning up to the stuff I did to Kate. Her and I are talking that through. It's not being shoved under the rug. We're watching movies. We're watching content that has to do with stuff that I did to her. To show her, like, hey, this is what I did. Like, you got to process this. We got to face this and talk about it if you're ready. She says she's ready. So that's what we're doing. And that is her prerogative. She knows herself best. And we're working through it together. What was it, Kate?
When I said about what I did, what I started to do to you because of, or just what I did to you.
Kate has begun to process what she's done to me. I've begun to process what I've done to her. And it is most everyone else who has done a hell of a lot to me either by sitting back or whatever else. I don't need you to own what you did. You're just going to have to watch me be on screen the rest of my life and live with yourself for what you did to me. That's on you. And killing me, or trying to get society to kill me, or trying to get the law to kill me, or trying to get a doctor to kill me, it's not going to make you any better. I'm not your Jesus. I will not die for you, you crazy pricks. You made a big mistake. Who? Hell of a lot of people. Thousands and thousands of bandwagoners who destroyed my life for the sake of trying to make a friend. And so now we have a beautiful penguin turtle. What was the girl's name for the penguin turtle?
I don't know exactly who put them, but like, there was a girl named Sarah?
John goes, name names. No, idiot. I'm smarter than that. I'm moving on with my life.
Was it Asterisk or?
No, I think it was Asterisk.
Sarah or?
So we have a beautiful penguin turtle made by Kate, and that will find its way to patreon.com/Jim Saroka. We'd love to see you there. I'll be talking to you guys soon. And to all you psychopaths, if you're not one yet, if you keep convincing yourself you didn't hurt me as bad as you did, you'll end up becoming a psychopath. Because you'll have to do that just to run away from it. To those of you who didn't hurt me, don't hurt me now. Because it's a mistake. You're wrong about me. And you'll spend the rest of your life trying to convince yourself you're right. And you'll ruin your own life. And then try to find a way to blame me. Just like a lot of people have. Moving on, I suggest you do so as well. Turning the screen off and pretending I'm not there is not going to help you. Turning the screen on and pretending like you see something you don't, just because you don't want to face yourself, is not going to help you. Eddie Ralph, welcome on. I'm out of here, because right now this isn't worth my time. And it's not making me healthier, because I have some really crazy people in the comments. But I'm going to go, and I will talk to you guys very soon. I hope this broadcast has shown you just how much I do get attacked and harassed and psychologically manipulated. Because these people right now are concealing themselves and acting like they're not doing a whole lot. But they used to be much more aggressive. And you will watch as I get more healthy again. Mark my words. I sound paranoid? No, you wait and see. As I get healthy again, they will begin to become more aggressive again. And I will pull apart their tactics for you. If you need that. If you don't, good. But I am the one moving on. And I apologize if I have to leave you behind in the process. Talk soon.